Hello, my friends. Hello, and welcome back to the Nightmare Cabin. I'm having a lazy Sunday, and I hope you are too. I've got a long-held opinion that I thought I'm going to put out there and see what happens with it. Maybe I'd like your feedback on this one. I think I'm a minority on this one, but who knows? We'll see. What's made me? Yeah, this is something I've thought for a long time. And on Facebook yesterday, I saw someone put in a metal Facebook page a discussion of, well, the photo with both the singers there, a bit like the thumbnail on this, Joey Belladonna or John Bush, and the discussion thing. And then I put my opinion, and I thought, hold on a minute, I think... and from what I was reading, it wasn't a very popular one. So I thought I'd make a video of it. So here we go. Anthrax getting rid of John Bush is one of the, if not the, biggest F up in metal. And I'll state my case and explain why. Well, I think Anthrax has become a pretty much irrelevant band that are trading on a past legacy, basically. The big four, the name, the logo, and they've gone from being a band with a future in terms of like development of their material to being a band that just plays the hits, basically. And there's when you get into a certain part of your career, or I suppose any part of your career really, there comes a time when a new, when you get to a certain plateau, a new album is an event, or it isn't, and you're just stuck to playing the hits. So, for example, Alice Cooper is currently putting out new albums. No one gives a shit, apart from, hardcore or real Alice Cooper fans. But even if you do like the new album, whatever one he's put out, and he does put out good albums, I didn't mind his last one. He's touch and go, but when he does, when he is on form, he does put out good stuff. But he's probably going to play about 2 songs off it in the live show, and when he plays the hits. Or there's Iron Maiden, where a new album is an event. And Anthrax went from a new album being an event to they just play the same songs over and over again. I think they've kind of settled for Joey, and Joey's kind of settled for them. I think he knows where his bread's buttered, being an Anthrax, and Anthrax pretty much exhausted every other option, and it's this one option left where the two can just about stand each other, and they go out and just do their thing. I think Anthrax they're always on like package tours, and if they do a headline, they pretty much just do package tours now. And if they do a headline show, it'll be sold. Their attraction there is playing this album in full, or they recently did that anniversary tour where they just played the hits anyway, and it was sold as like this retrospective, we're playing a little bit of everything, but it was just them playing the hits. And 14 years, 4 albums of their catalogue is dropped, so they're just stuck playing those 5 albums, and they don't really lean that heavy on their new material either. And it's a shame, because they really were onto something with John. And I suppose I'll get into it. So let's go back to 2002, or was it 2003? I think We've Come For You All. This fantastic album. Right, I think this is 2002, but they reissued it in 2003 because the tour was doing so well. So you get a bonus EP with this one. Got bonus tracks on this one anyway. But I've got the vinyl up there, by the way. I got that for Christmas. I've not even played it yet. But yeah, this was This was fantastic. A later day classic, and one of my all-time favourite albums, in fact. And this was the album. Every band, bands have peaks and valleys, and I think this was with a new record label as well, so that probably helped. What was the album before this? Was Volume 8, wasn't it? What was that on? Oh, this was Century Media. I thought it was Nuclear Blast. Yeah, my one's Nuclear Blast. Right, so Volume 8 was on an independent, like Ignition Records. I've never heard of them. And then, yeah, so We Came For You All apparently came out on Century Media Records. I did not realise that. And then, unless it was on Century Media in America and maybe Nuclear Blast in Europe, maybe. Yeah, I'm trying to find my edition of it now. Yeah, 2002. No, it did come out. So it came out in February 2003. And then, they just put it out again. I guess this was Nuclear Blast putting out their own edition of it then. So it must be, America 1. Either way, so they got a new record label. And they got a new... Sometimes an album just comes out where they capture everyone. So... It's the best album in a long time, so it gets a lot of media buzz. There was buzz around this album, and it was an album that picked up new fans as well. Now I got into Anthrax. Luke, who does Maiden Cast with me, did a cassette with a load of Anthrax stuff on it. That was pretty much my first exposure to them. And We Come For You All was my first new album by them. And I've said, everyone always has a particular affinity with a band's new album, like whatever the one you jumped on board with. And I'm reading those comments and just listening to podcasts throughout the years. There are people that don't like John Bush era Anthrax, and fair enough. Music's all subjective anyway. But I do find that they haven't listened to all of it. They kind of tap out after. They kind of go. The general consensus is Sound of White Noise was all right, but after that I dropped out, or they didn't even like Sound of White Noise. Now, I can see why they might have tapped out around Stump 442 or Volume 8, because that was just a weird period in metal anyway, and those two albums are pretty experimental, I guess. I like them, but I could see why someone would, especially if they were a long-term fan, would tap out then. But this album was, everything come back round again. Like, it was new. It was the start of a new era, and again, this is just a fantastic album. It's about 50 odd minutes long. It's I think about 14 songs on it, but it's got a great atmosphere on it, and it's really varied as well. Like, I know I've got a couple of mates that say like this is a great gym soundtrack. Like it's a perfect album to do a workout on, because the album goes through so many different paces and there's different styles of song on there. There's so much variety on there. The workout just flies by, and it starts up with What Doesn't Die. Fantastic drums on that one, nice and fast. Then it goes into the mid-pace Superhero. It's kind of dark in places as well. But yeah, so if you're starting out of a run and then you can get into your weights and all the rest of it. But yeah, it's just a phenomenal album. Everyone is firing from all cylinders. Got a new record label. Obviously, Rob... I can't pronounce his name. Rob Sigiano. He was on guitar. The second guitarist, never gets any love when it comes to Anthrax. Scotty and hoovers that up always. But yeah, he joined in 2001. So yeah, this was his first album. And he had a thing or two to say about this around this period. We'll get into it all. But yeah, so Anthrax were back, basically. They were reinvigorated, and there was a real buzz around this album. And the follow-up to that album would have been even better for them. So let's leave that there. In the rest of metal, though, Bruce Dickinson coming back to Iron Maiden sent like a wave through metal. It was like a lot of old school metalers were finding a resurgence in interest, where sort of new metal had died and metalcore was coming into a thing, but metalcore paid a bit more homage to the old guard, so to speak, with bands like Shadows Fall and Lamb of God and Killswitch and all the rest of it. And I'm going through this as well, by the way, because metal does tend to revise history, and I'm just sort of going, no, that's not what happens. You know, the way Creator and Slayer like to make out that they were hardcore bands to begin with. No, they weren't. The way some people like to think Ronnie James Dio was, you know, I remember like what they would make. Ronnie James Dio, before he joined Hell, he was playing like small venues, and people like want to act like they were into him the whole time. And like when Killswitch Engage covered Holy Diver, they were doing it ironically as a piss take, not as a tribute. Stuff like that. So, yeah, this period of Anthrax, they want to whitewash out, and I'm just reminding everyone what really happened. So anyway, the message going through metal was, with the old guard at least, was if you get your original singer back, or if you reform your classic original lineup, it's going to give you a big boost. And it kind of was working, but Anthrax did it. Now the thing is though, Anthrax didn't need to do it, because John Bush wasn't Blaze Bayley. They hadn't hit a low point. Now again, regular viewers of this channel know that I love Blaze Bayley, and we've in Maidencast we've gone through the Blaze Bayley era, and whatever caused the low point in Maiden's career wasn't Blaze's fault. It was actually, this was down to Steve's decisions, and there was nothing Blaze could have done. He was given a poison chalice. But you know what I'm getting at when I say the Blaze Bayley of such and such band. Same with Tim Owens as well. Tim Owens didn't actually, there was nothing wrong with Tim Owens' performance, but Judas Priest were going into a downward decline in terms of sales. So Rob coming back made sense. So on and so forth. So now the problem is with this narrative is that bands at the low point get a new singer back or reform classic lineup, put out Brave New World, and the balance of the universe is all restored. But the thing is, Anthrax had already made their Brave New World with John. This was their Brave New World. But the problem is, it'd be like Iron Maiden making Brave New World and then getting Paul Di'Anno back. This is what happens. So they toured heavily on this album. Summer 2005 comes round, and I remember it. Anthrax are touring with Joey Belladonna back on vocals and Dan Spitz back on guitar, just for a one-off to celebrate the... Oh, hold on, let's back up a track. Right, so a re-establishing new album comes out. New record label, slightly new lineup, new guitarist, critical praise, sell-out tour, lovely jubbly, yeah? Reinvigorated, new fans. Then they put out a live DVD, which is also awesome. So you've got this double whammy. Then they put out The Greater of Two Evils. And this is all material with before John. So this is the first 5 albums. It's a best of compilation, so to speak, of re-recorded songs from the first 5 albums, and the songs were selected by fans via the band's website. And this particular edition is a bonus edition with bonus tracks. So you get 14 songs, and with the bonus tracks, 17. So 17 songs re-recorded with the current lineup. It was John Bush on vocals, re-recording all the stuff with Joey Belladonna or Dan Spitz. What's his name? Who sung on the first album? Fistful of Metal. Neil Turbin. Even stuff with him. So here we go. Let's go through it again. New album. Awesome new album. Re-establishing the band. New lease of life. Backed up by a live DVD. backed up by putting out an album where your current singer, who's now got 4 albums under his belt, by the way, so he's well established, and we've got him re-recording older material. So they're well happy with John at this point, and he is now firmly established in the band. 4 albums under his belt. Do you know what? We're even going to re-record all the old stuff with him. John is in. They're happy with him, yeah? So then summer comes along, and they go, right, we're going to, because it's the anniversary of Before the Living, we're touring with the classic lineup. And I was excited at the time, and I bought tickets to download that year just to see that lineup. And that was under the guise of, well, I get to see them now with Joey, and that means I've seen both singers. That's great. And when it happened at the time, this was going to be for the summer, and that was it. Yeah? But this tour went on and on and on. This is a good live DVD, by the way. Yeah, it was just like, well, I thought this was a temporary thing. And the questions kept coming up. So what's happening with John? What's happening with John and Rob? And they were painfully vague at this point. And they were like, John isn't fired from the band. John's just taking some time off because he's just had a daughter. And he's just going to spend some time with her and la 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 la. Yeah, because that's what blokes do when they've just had a baby. They quit their job. You know? And it just went on and on and on. And there was even a website at the time that came out going, like, I can't even remember what it was. It was something like bring John back into the, or stop trying to, because in the time as well, Anthrax's website, it was as if John Bush never existed. And this website basically was, it was basically banging the drum. It was flying the flag, wherever you want to put it, going like, well, what the hell is going on with Anthrax? They had a new album out. John Bush was firing all cylinders with them, and now they've got this thing with Joey Belladonna's back with Dan Spitz, and it's just, there's no talk of a new album. It's like, is he back permanently? Like, it's just going on and on and on, and where's the future in this? And they even interviewed Rob, I have to look his surname up again, Caggiano. And even he's gone, yeah, this is bullshit. Like, I don't know what they're doing. John was in the band for 14 years, and it's as if he was never there. And they're not saying what's actually going on. So things come to a head, and I think John, you read between the lines, they're just like, yeah, I think John's got pissed off because he's basically been made to wait too long. And when his time's come round, he's gone, do you know what? You can do one. I think he did like a Burger King advert. He started doing voice work. He eventually did a new Armoured Saint album as well, La Raza. And then the band were like, oh, so what do we do? We've left him out to dry. Things have gone wrong with him. They've now not got a singer. So then what they do, they hire a brand new singer, Dan Nelson. And I think, Dan Spitz quits because I think for him it was only ever a temporary setup anyway. And then, when does Dan Nelson come in? Let's quickly look him up. Now, Dan Nelson has been completely scrubbed from the history books. That is as if that never happened. And in Scott Ian's autobiography, Dan doesn't even get mentioned. And he was in the band for 3 years. So now, they relaunch with a brand new singer. And they start playing some small venues as well. And one of my biggest regrets is I thought I had tickets to see him at the Garage. For those who don't know, it's a pretty small venue, and it's certainly a small venue for Anthrax. It's a sort of mid-paced venue. I'm trying to think of bands as an example. I saw Left to Die play there last summer, for example. So that's you. And I thought I had tickets, but I didn't find. So I rang the ticket company one, and they went, "No, the payment didn't go through." And they did go like, however, though, tickets are available. So if you want, you can just buy one now, and we'll just put your name on the door. And I was kind of skint at the time, and I was only really going because I thought I'd bought the ticket. But if I hadn't, well, I didn't really have the money for it anyway. And I thought, well, they're going to do a new album with Dan anyway, so I'll just catch them next time round. Didn't happen, did it? So that one opportunity I had to see them with that particular lineup, I didn't take. And I don't suppose it really matters anymore. But I would like, it's been a cool thing to have seen. So always go to gigs, folks, no matter what, because you never know what's around the corner. And you never know, bands split up, die, or whatever all the time. So see things while they're there. So there's one thing as well, right? No one knows what exactly went on with Dan. He was like the new guy, and then they just overnight sacked him. And apparently he found out the same way everyone else did. It was really vague about what happened. There's loads of rumours, and yeah, there's no point getting into them really, because it is just rumours. Nothing solid. The only people that really know what went on is insiders, basically. And then they've got a load of festivals coming up, and John Bush is back, and it's like, yeah, everything's back. We've finally come back to where we're meant to go. And but no, they're saying in interviews, as far as we're concerned, John is back. He's doing great on these feet. It's great having him back. We should never have got rid of him. And the ball is totally in his court. It's totally his decision. But as far as we're concerned, we've done the difficult bit. He is back. And he is just like, no, I'm just helping them out. This is 9 shows. The festivals. They needed someone quick, and I just jumped on board and helped them out. And this is the thing. They've got an album. They were working on an album with Dan. And I think he might have recorded the album. Because they said, we've got an album, only problem is no singer. And again, that's in a vault somewhere, is worship music with Dan on vocals. I'd love to hear that. But John starts saying, I've got no interest in singing on an album that I wasn't helping create. So maybe I'll put out, I'll do an EP with him, maybe. But yeah. And again, I think John is just, it's the girlfriend that's fucked him over one too many times, finally says, like, I'm yours. And he's just like, do you know what? No, forget it. Bit like, do you remember Teen Wolf, Pam? Michael J. Fox is always chasing Pam. Booth was there the whole time. And by the time at the end of the film, Pam's like, he's just like, no, you're all right, love. He's going with Booth. Remember? Bit like that. So, they get Joey back. Now, it just so happens that this album is a fantastic album. You weren't expecting that, was you? No, I do love this album. And Joey, I respected him, but I had reinvigorated respect for Joey when this album came out. This was my album of the year. But the problem is, folks, that the fact that this album is so good was a fluke. It was a happy accident. The band is still sighing with relief to this day. Thank God that worked out. Because it goes to show what a class act Joey is, because he can kind of adapt to whatever. But, because he didn't. And now Rob Caggiano is back on guitar for this as well. But he leaves not long afterwards. And this is the thing. So, this album comes out, and it is just like, whew, Anthrax is still good. Luckily, you got a decent follow-up to We Come For You All. And musically speaking, this is the logical follow-up to We Come For You All. But, yeah, like I say, it's become evident since that this album being so good was a fluke and a happy accident. So it looks like things are all right, don't they? What's the next album? For All Kings. I remember when that album came out, and I was kind of... and then you had the Big Four, and again, it was just package tour. you're getting big gaps between albums as well now. So there's like a 5-year gap between worship music and For All Kings. And For All Kings, it was out in 2016. This is now 2024, and I think Anthrax are only working on a new album now. So you're looking at the best part of 10 years, and it's for a reason. They're not inspired. And the one I'm really worried about is Charlie, because he's the main spark when it comes to songwriting and all the rest of it. And I think, if I remember rightly, Charlie was going through a divorce at this point, and they were even touring without Charlie in parts. And I think he just wasn't inspired on this one. But since then, Anthrax they've just been going out rolling out hits and not really playing that much off their new album, be it Four Kings or Worship Metal. The material on those two albums has just faded into the background. And now everyone makes a big fuss on the Big Four. When the Big Four thing happened, Joey started singing only. It's like, yeah, but he only did it then. You know, like one song. And he's made it pretty clear that he doesn't care for the John Bush era. So yeah, you've pretty much now, you've got 4 albums just completely abandoned. Another 2 albums that's a song off here is used, and then they just play the 80s material. And I can back that up with the last 2 live albums. Like I say, For All Kings was a complete in one ear, out the other affair. And let me say as well, folks, like this is someone talking whose Anthrax was one of my favourite bands, and now they're a band I just couldn't give a shit about. And a few different things have happened as well, where they don't come across to me as very nice people either. I think Scott Ian's far more concerned about being on podcasts and just being, you know, selling action figures of himself, and yeah, just being the brand that is Scott Ian rather than being in Anthrax. Again, I think they've got Joey because they've settled with Joey because no one else will have him. But I think they really like John, but they fucked up with John. And I think Joey's only in Anthrax because, yeah, who wants to go see Joe Belladonna do a solo show, you know? He turns up on these metal cruises and does metal karaoke and sings Journey really well, but ain't going to sell out a venue, is it? Let's be honest. So now they're just sort of stuck in this limbo. But let's go for the live albums. Again, so on this album, on this DVD, bang, we're opening with new material, yeah? 1, 2, 3, 4. I thought it was more than that, but yeah, 4 songs off the new album, right? But here we go. You got the last 2 live albums. You've got. Let's have a look. So you got so we've got when the original tour happens. This is with Joey. Then you got the Big Four. Then you've got Kings Around Scotland. Is this the one where they? Is this the one where they play? Yes, you got Kings Among Scotland. This is where they play Among the Living in full. Where again, it's just like, oh, we're playing Among the Living in full. It's like, yes, like that's the main bulk of your set anyway. Like, there's like 2 songs on it. Yeah, there's like 2 songs on. I can't remember which one it was now, but basically, if you look at the live album before it and after it, the one that they play Among the Living in full, it's like, oh, there's like 2 songs difference. You're just playing the 2 songs you didn't play last tour. Then you got Kings Among Scotland. Oh no, that's Kings Among Scotland, div. Sorry. Chile on Hell. If you look at Kings of Scotland and then Chile on Hell, the set list isn't any different, really. It's in different order. So between 3 live albums, you've pretty much got the same set list, and they're now just stuck doing these. You know, they're on the Slayer tour, and they're always sort of either one down from headliner or in the mid headliner, or co-headlining. They're doing a co-headlining thing with Creator, and it is just they're leaning on the hits now, and there's no point in. You can think of the new material, but when a big mid part of your back catalogue is abandoned, what's the point of new material, you know? And this is where we are, really. This is where we are. And it's a shame, because they could have been a band, I think, where new material would have been an event. They could have been leading the way in where metal was going, but now it's just... I think the band's just uninspired and trading on a past legacy. And yeah, it's a shame. I had something in my head, but a point I wanted to make, but I can't remember what it is now. I'm sure I'll remember it as soon as I finish recording this. But yeah, I'm much more excited about a new Armored Saint album nowadays than I am an Anthrax one. And yeah. That's where we are. So what do you think? I just listen again. I listened to that album. I listened to and I just see where they could have gone, and then they completely fucked it up. Just because there was a bit of money, because apparently this all kicked off. Sharon Osbourne offered them 30 grand a night if they did Ozfest with Joey Belladonna, and I'm even sceptical of that now, because does Sharon Osbourne know that much about Anthrax for her to go, I'll do it, but it has to be that lineup. It just happens to be on that anniversary as well. Like, who knows? But anyway, it's dragging on a bit now. I think I've made my point. But yeah, like I say, the getting the new singer thing, you're meant to make a Brave New World, but they'd already made their Brave New World with John. John was established in the band. John wasn't a low point with the band. I mean, again, I'm glad Bruce Dickinson came back to Iron Maiden, but I do think if, for whatever reason, he hadn't come back, if they did stick with Blaze, they would have eventually hit their stride with Blaze and things would have worked out with him. Like they did with John. It took, well... Again, on that fourth album, they were well established with him. There's some people that prefer Chris Barnes in Cannibal Corpse, but they stuck with George. Sepultura stuck with Derek Green. They'd got over the hard bit. The new singer isn't working out. That wasn't the case with Anthrax. And if it was financially speaking, it made sense to do it at the time. Well done. You got your finance, but you've killed all the chemistry in your band. You've killed all the artistic merit that you had, and now you just suck playing your greatest hits CD. But yeah, that's my point. So yeah, Anthrax getting rid of John Bush was the biggest fuck up in metal. What do you think? If you like this, give us a thumbs up. Let me know what you think of the John Bush era. Do you think I'm right, or do you think I'm talking crap? Let me know in the comments. And I'll see you all soon. Thanks for watching. Cheers.